Hey everyone, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy the audiobooks, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support us further, consider becoming a Patreon member. As a member, you'll gain the ability to request the next part of a novel audiobook I've uploaded, depending on your Patreon tier.
To think that the mission is more dangerous than I originally thought. Noelle thought as she arrived at Nathan's battlefield. She could see the aliens' corpses scattered on the field, but more importantly, there was one more corpse lying not far from him. From its appearance, she realized this was not a normal alien. A juvenile class. That's the minimum strength for an alien to cause this much destruction. And I don't think there is an alien that can create a blade on their arm. A mutant? Noelle widened her eyes. Did he defeat a mutant? I don't know how strong it is, but... Noelle looked at Nathan's clothes, which were covered in blood. He didn't have any more injuries, but he looked exhausted. To think that he can kill a juvenile class mutant. Nathan is quite strong, but a mutant is different. He must kill the mutant by tricking it. Noelle had realized Nathan's enormous potential and said, "Let's go back." "Well, let me get some rest. We also need to notify the village about this. I'm sure that they are currently worried about us." Nathan waved his hand. The pain had subsided, but it kept replaying in his mind. He couldn't even endure his pinky toe hitting the corner of his bed a month ago. He was impressed by himself that he could endure this level of pain now, barely. Aha! Nathan raised his head, finding a familiar who approached them. He found his appearance slightly similar, but couldn't recall anything about him. "Who?" Murmur said, "I am Murmur. It's nice to meet you, kid. To think that you are able to make this lady worry, I guess you have some abilities." Murmur. 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 Nathan suddenly recalled a certain name. Ah. He almost wanted to ask about his real identity, but he remembered he was just a farmer. Nathan turned around to Fenrir as if he knew Murmur from Fenrir before asking, "Are you one of the demons from 72 demons of the Lesser Key of Solomon? But shouldn't you have a griffin? It appears you are familiar with my origin. My summoning was rushed, which causes it to be incomplete. That's why my pal is not here." Murmur glanced at Fenrir. Fenrir wanted to say something because Nathan used him as an excuse, but Anubis suddenly spoke. "You seem to have a similar power to mine." Murmur turned to Anubis and said, "Your power is weak, but at the same time, very profound. If our power is at the same level, I won't be your match. Then again, I believe that your power is slightly different from mine." Anubis harumphed. Even though he had the power of death, his biggest divinity was in his ankh and scale. "I have satisfied my curiosity. In that case, I'll take my leave." Murmur remained polite the whole time before he disappeared. Seeing Nathan's state, Noelle said, "Junior. For this mission, you can get all the cores and rewards." "Are you sure? Aren't we supposed to split it evenly? Then again, you're the one killing the mature class alien." "That is fine. Without you, the village will be destroyed by this alien." Noelle pointed at the mutant. "And I'm afraid that you're going to face a lot of trouble once we return to the academy. Her Highness Flora will probably ask me about you the whole time." Nathan nodded. "I understand. I'll graciously accept it." After reaching an agreement, Nathan stood up, his legs wobbling as the pain still felt a bit real. Noelle grabbed his arm and put it on her shoulder, supporting him. "Let's go back to the village. We can inform the village and return tomorrow." "Yes." As soon as they returned to the village, the villagers were either roaming around or hiding in their house, shivering in fear. When they saw Nathan and Noelle, there was a sigh of relief coming from them. Several villagers came toward them, followed by the village chief, who could already walk with both feet. "Esteemed summoners." The village's voice was shaking. Nathan smiled. "Fortunately, we don't let everyone's hope down." Then, the villager's expression brightened. Some were already letting tears out of joy. My senior will inspect the hole once more to confirm there is no other alien that is left behind. However, I believe that all the aliens, including the colossal worm, have been defeated. Yua. Long live great summoners. The Phyrexia Academy is different. They're nothing like the Dextria Academy. The cheers erupted as they could finally live like normal again. It's finally gone. The village chief cried and fell to his knees. It seemed that the alien had troubled him greatly. He hurriedly shouted to a villager next to him while wiping his snot. Hey, you. Bring that. Why yes. The man hurriedly brought a purple-colored pearl. Its size was only as big as a thumb, but in this world, it didn't seem to be cheap. Nathan wasn't aware of the actual value as well. An amethyst. This is the only thing we have, esteemed summoners. I don't know how we are supposed to repay your kindness anymore. Nathan took a step to the side, freeing himself from Noel. After that, he bent his knees and closed the village chief's hand as if implying to keep it safe. If that's the case, I'll take this reward and give it to you back, village chief. Please sell this amethyst and use the money to help the recovery of this village. Everyone has lost so much. I don't wish you to be starving and dying just because you have to give me this reward. The village chief gasped. Even the villagers teared up. They had never seen such a sincere summoner. Nathan skillfully worded it in a way that the village chief couldn't refuse. After all, he said he gave it back. There was no way a commoner like him could reject a summoner's gift. He just did it to make it simple. But please allow me to be a little selfish and borrow the room to recover. We'll be leaving tomorrow. Why yes. Please use it however you like. The village chief nodded furiously. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. While they were celebrating, Noel and Nathan split up. Noel checked the hole and confirmed there wasn't a single alien left before getting all the cores and handing them to Nathan. On the other hand, Nathan was just lying on his bed. This was probably the closest he got to dying. It was truly something he didn't like to experience again, but he didn't know if this world would be so kind to him, especially since his luck had been bad this whole time. The next morning, they departed from the village and returned to the Phyrexia Academy before lunch. Junior. Yes. Nathan tilted his head as they were about to go their own ways. Why did you give it back? Noel couldn't understand. While Nathan was a summoner, he was originally a farmer's son, so he should be tempted by that money. If it was the original Nathan, he would definitely take it, but he had seen such a thing on the internet. He simply said, I'm not a good person. I'm just a selfish bastard who feels good after sharing some kindness. That's all. Noel was surprised by his answer. He actually identified himself as the exact opposite of his action. When Noel was about to ask another question, Alicia suddenly came to Nathan while screaming, Young master. Alicia? Nathan took a step back instinctively, but Alicia suddenly grabbed his shoulder with one hand as she said, You have to go to the battle hall right now. Selena is about to fight August in a summoner's war. Nathan and Alicia reached the hall where they were holding the summoner's war between Selena and August. He had never expected that these two would be in a duel like this. What is going on? How does this happen? Why are those two fighting? Nathan tilted his head in confusion. According to the form submitted, it was Selena who challenged August. Alicia explained. Nathan couldn't help but furrow his eyebrows. When he took another look at Selena, she was actually holding a wooden staff. She didn't use one back in Tevlin Forest, which brought him to a different thought. Did Selena think this carefully? Alicia noticed Nathan was watching the arena closely, which made her smile. Jason looked at both summoners and said, If August wins, Selena will help August for the next event. If Selena wins, August will give her the fire staff. Is that correct? Yes. Selena and August nodded their heads, confirming the bet. In that case, you may begin. Jason jumped back. Both of them summoned their respective familiars. August pulled out his sword while Selena raised her staff. They released their Aina at the same time, waiting for the others to make a move. August took the initiative. He and the dwarf jumped forward. To their surprise, Selena was the only one coming to match them. August and the dwarf were confused because they thought Selena wasn't a strong, close combat summoner. Nevertheless, the match would end as long as they defeated her. Hence, both of them channeled their Aina into their respective weapons. When they were about to unleash their attack, Selena halted her step, which made the two hesitate if they had enough range to reach her. That was when Selena spun her staff and waved it from the bottom, as if she were swiping the floor. The Aina burst at the tip of her staff, amplified by the bright red gem on the rod's eye. A powerful wave of Aina hit both August and the dwarf as though they were hit by a horse. KH. Because they weren't ready for it, both of them took the full brunt of the attack and were sent flying. Risa pointed her palms at them and shot out the blood tornadoes. God of Earth, please protect your believer. The gnome waved his hand up as stone pillars emerged from the floor, receiving the blood tornadoes. August and the dwarf landed safely, but they were so focused on Risa and Selena that they didn't realize Sasha was already gone. Her claws released a faint green glow as she attacked the gnome from behind. The dwarf seemed to be more experienced in battle compared to August, as the dwarf was able to react to Sasha's attack. He smashed Sasha's claws, but because they contained a lot of Aina, it burst and blew them away. Selena came forward and waved her rod at the stone pillars, releasing that Aina again. The Aina smashed the stone pillars into pieces, but August was ready to attack her. Sadly for him, every time Selena waved her staff, she would burst out her Aina like she was sweeping everything. The gnome waved his hand down as the stones that were launched toward him, and August fell as if there was a magnet on the ground. August trusted his gnome, so he immediately approached Selena before she could release another burst. Instead of helping, Risa actually summoned blood spears and launched them toward the gnome. Noticing that the dwarf was occupied by Sasha, the gnome had no choice but to take this head-on. Unfortunately, there was a circular sword strike that expanded and cut the blood spears in half from the side. August chose to save the gnome instead of attacking Selena. Selena spun her rod, ready to launch another attack. However, the gnome had actually chanted another spell and summoned 4 stone walls to surround Selena. Her staff actually hit the stone wall and released the Aina to the ground. Bam! When the attack was released, the shockwave definitely hit Selena. The stone pillars shattered, but the rocks and dust filled up the air, becoming a perfect smokescreen for August. Without hesitation, August closed the distance between them. Risa wanted to help Selena, but she couldn't see anything. Selena. August smirked because it was too late. He swung his sword with all his strength, planning to cut her. To his surprise, he struck a shield made of Aina first, which absorbed half of the impact. The swing only had half of its power left, and Selena simply put the wand in front of her, blocking the sword. August widened his eyes in shock as the dust started to settle down. He saw Selena pointing her finger like Nathan. A sphere made of rampaging Aina appeared and exploded at point-blank range. Boom! The shockwave launched August away, his body bouncing several times on the ground before stopping. On the other hand, Selena remained still as she formed a barrier at the last second. That's... Nathan dropped his jaw in disbelief. Did she just hit the wall and let out that burst to the ground so that she could bait August? She blocked that burst with her barrier, but August didn't know it was possible. It was his fault for misunderstanding. And that was when she used that last burst to knock him down. But that's... Isn't that your way of fighting, young master? Alicia had a smug on her face, teasing Nathan. It seems that she learns a lot from you. And this is the first time she is using that kind of technique. I wonder who is the one teaching her. I didn't teach her that one. Nathan shook his head. But I have never thought that Selena would be this strong. But you still can defeat her. With my cheap tricks. Yeah. But in a head-on battle, I don't think I'd win. I wonder if this is a good influence or a bad one for her. Alicia's grin became wider. It's definitely good. Aha! August shouted as he stood up. His ears were ringing and his head felt like it was splitting because of that attack. August. The gnome panicked. Even the dwarf couldn't help but glance at August, worrying about him. You are distracted. Sasha harumphed as she scratched the dwarf's arm. The dwarf wasn't surprised because of the pain, but due to the feeling that came right after the pain. Poison. He hurriedly hit his own arm with the axe, scraping away the flesh that suddenly turned black before it spread even further. Sasha immediately positioned herself between the dwarf and August, not letting him help August. Meanwhile, Selena dashed toward August as if trying to end it all. The gnome wanted to summon more rocks to stop her, but 2 blood tornadoes flew toward him, forcing the gnome to create a stone pillar for himself. He managed to stop the tornadoes, but August had to face Selena alone. August. Selena swept her rod from the bottom again. On the other hand, August's eyes turned bloodshot as he poured all his strength and slashed downwards, creating a crescent-shaped sword strike that extended for 8 meters, 26 feet. The sword strike actually cut the shock wave and headed straight at Selena. The latter jumped back while creating a shield in front of her. The shield blocked the sword strike for a second, but it eventually got cut. Selena. Risa panicked, thinking she would be hit by this attack. To everyone's surprise, Selena waved her staff to the back, using that rotation to actually create a tornado-like gale. That gale actually spun her body, moved it slightly to the left, as she ultimately dodged the attack. What? August never thought it was possible. However, it didn't change the fact that the attack was successful. He closed the distance between them and unleashed the same attack once again. If Selena used the same trick, he would take that opportunity to close the remaining gap and defeat her. Sadly for him, there was no need for him to do so. Selena simply jumped back like the previous attempt, baiting August to come in. Instead of spinning her body, she waved the rod from the side, hitting the sword strike from the side. Because of the shape of the sword strike, anything in front would simply be cut in two. But if she targeted the flat surface of that sword strike, she could actually sweep away the ana that built up that sword strike. As she predicted, the sword strike dispersed and vanished into thin air. Everyone widened their eyes in shock. Selena didn't care about their reaction. Because of the fake, August had entered her range. No. His brain was screaming, realizing it was a trap. Sadly, it was too late. Selena waved her staff from below to launch August away, but the gnome summoned a pillar in front of him, blocking her attack. As a result, the tornado grazed the gnome's back, ripping his clothes and scratching his back. Ack! The gnome screamed in pain. You're not going anymore. A clicking sound echoed as the clash between Sasha and the dwarf continued. The dwarf realized Sasha's job was actually to stop him from helping them. At the same time, he couldn't find a gap to exploit, since she still had the upper hand. Meanwhile, Selena came straight at August and let out another burst of ana to destroy the stone pillar, the residual ana blowing the rubbles to August. Despite getting hit by the rock, August endured the pain and made one swing. That swing cut through the small rocks and reached Selena. Or so he thought, until he suddenly felt 3 powerful blows coming from above, knocking him down to the ground. Gah! August's eyes lost their focus in an instant as he fell unconscious, his body dropping to the ground. His sword strike disappeared, which only meant one thing. Young master. Did you see that? Alicia gasped. Yes. At that last sweep, she actually sent forth 3 torrential ana to the air. They curved down and fell on top of August's head. Because August was so focused on attacking Selena, as well as enduring those rocks. No, should I say that Selena actually used that shattered stone pillar to create her own smoke screen. Nevertheless, those 3 torrential waves became the deciding blow of this match. Can you actually control the trajectory of your Aina to that degree? Nathan gulped down. It's possible, but you have to practice more. As for her, I'm afraid that she is a genius. Nathan couldn't help but think about what he said about Selena being a genius when she taught him the exploding bullet. He realized her talent might actually surpass his imagination. Still, Selena had taken down August and the 2 familiars had to stop fighting as the match had been decided. August Reeves has been defeated. Selena Ashton wins this match. Jason announced. The people didn't cheer. They were simply too shocked. Strong. Very strong. They had never thought that Selena would be so overwhelming that August couldn't do anything to her. Even Rudius would face quite a challenge against him, but Selena completely overpowered him with that new technique. Looking at her staring down at August felt like she was a queen. Everyone was just her humble servants. They could only look up to her, and not the other way around. Rudius gulped down. He had been so focused on August that he didn't realize that Selena had become a bigger threat. In addition, Nathan had gotten an opportunity from the student council. If both of them joined hands, they would become the most powerful faction in the class. Rudius' body trembled, fully realizing that his plan to separate Selena and Nathan was the correct one. Selena gracefully glanced at the arena, as if she were trying to send a message that she would beat anyone that challenged her. But that was also the time she noticed Nathan was there. She was slightly startled, but despite not showing an emotion on her face, she walked so fast that she was already out of the arena before other students stopped her or something. Her destination was obvious. It seems that our young master needs to train even harder. I'm afraid that her talent is much more terrifying than what you can imagine. Not only her control, but also her calm judgment. Alicia smiled. Indeed. I can't lose. Nathan smiled wryly. Alicia then handed over the briefcase she had been holding on to this whole time. In that case, please take this. And? What is this? Nathan asked while grabbing the briefcase. The item you requested. Ah. Nathan couldn't help but smile. This was what he needed to get stronger in his current phase. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Alicia smiled before looking at his clothes. He hadn't changed, so the blood was still fresh on his clothes. Young master. I won't be angry at whatever happened during your mission, but mistress has seen your clothes. You might probably need to explain it to her. Aren't you going to accompany me, Alicia? I won't this time. I don't know what has happened, but I'm sure you must have done something reckless. A reckless person like you deserves to be scolded. Alicia harumphed. It seemed she was angry that he was being reckless and probably thought he almost died, which wasn't wrong either. I will get your spare clothes. Please visit her office after you're done talking with Selena. Remember that. I believe that mistress will be angry if you don't come right away. No, I might also get angry, you know. Ugh. I understand. Nathan had expected this, but he thought Alicia would help him. He probably deserved it this time. Then, please enjoy. Alicia smiled and walked away. Nathan also did the same until he saw Selena coming toward him. Her eyebrows twitched when she saw the blood on his clothes. Congratulations on your victory. Nathan waved his hand as if nothing had happened. What happened to you? Selena ignored her own victory and inspected Nathan. She could see his skin through that hole, but it didn't seem he was bandaged anywhere. Nathan paused for a moment before scratching the back of his head. Please let me off. I'm going to get an earful after this. I know I deserve it. Selena hesitated for a moment because she was too worried, fully aware of Nathan's personality. She couldn't help but sigh. Fine. But please team up with me for the next mission. Do you have a mission in mind? Not yet, but I don't mind if we go on a mission you choose. I can get my turn after that. Well, I have been planning to ask you, so let's just do that. Nathan nodded in agreement. N. Selena nodded, satisfied. There was a weird silence right after they stopped talking, so Nathan broke the silence. You are strong. No, you are very strong. I have never thought you would be that strong. And you? Nathan paused. His technique wasn't patented anyway, so he couldn't really say she was copying him. Hence, he changed his question, how do you do that sweep? It's pretty amazing. It's powerful and versatile. Actually, I combined 4 inspirations into one. Selena raised 4 fingers. The first one came from your test answer. Remember the 8th question? If I'm not wrong, it's talking about control, right? Yes. You answered it with a new concept called in motion. Just like how people with a sword could extend their slash, I took that concept and used it on my wand. I might not be good at close combat, but as long as I still had some distance, I would be the one having the upper hand. Incorporating the technique into your every motion, in motion. Nathan nodded in understanding before adding inwardly, I just brought that concept from another novel. This power of bullshit. It scares even me. Then again, only a genius like Selena can probably do it right away. Selena continued, the second concept came from the old man holding a broom, which turned out to be the principle. When I saw people sweeping the dirt, I couldn't help but wonder about the power of that impact, so I tried it. That's a pretty cool concept. It's like you're fighting with a staff and a broom combined. Nathan nodded. The third inspiration came from your unique way of fighting. I thought I could do it on my own too, and last but not least, it was your encouragement. Selena looked away as if she were a bit embarrassed. Maybe your compliment got the better of me. You told me I was a genius, so maybe you saw something in me I never saw in myself. I tried it and it actually worked. So thank you very much, Nathan. Nathan was taken aback. Selena accomplished it within days. Not just anybody could accomplish such a feat. You're welcome, I guess. Even though I feel like I haven't done anything. Nathan smiled. By the way, why did you challenge August? That's. Selena lifted up her wand. Do you remember I exchanged my points for cores to make up for you? Oh. Nathan nodded. I sold a few of them to buy a cheap rod. I challenged him to get a better staff, which would definitely boost my power even more. This way, I could finally see us as equal. But isn't that too reckless? What if you lose? I don't want to hear that from you. I bet this blood comes from your recklessness. Selena complained, but she still explained her thoughts. August was currently in a desperate position. I heard he was betrayed by someone because he didn't realize that the person was Rudius' minion. If I challenged him with myself on the line, he would accept it. As the successor of the Blacksmith Guild, he would definitely have a good staff. So I bought this wooden staff so that I could challenge August to get a better one. I had my confidence after learning this new technique. But won't this make him even more desperate? Nathan asked. Yes. In fact, Rudius and August might even form an alliance after this. However, that just means our reputation will go higher because they need to join hands along with their minions to take us down. Ours? If your reputation increases even further, it'll be good for you, especially for making a connection. People will no longer see you as a farmer but as a formidable summoner. The same applies to mine, but you're the one who inspires me, so I don't want to take the entire credit for myself. Nathan's body trembled as he couldn't help but scream inwardly, what is wrong with this girl? If not for your face lacking emotion, I would have fallen for you right away. This is not how the script was supposed to go. To think that he would do so much on that mission. Are you sure you don't help him? Flora asked while squinting her eyes. No. In fact, he is the one doing most of the work. I'm merely executing that mature class alien. If not for him fighting the juvenile class mutant, the situation would probably be much worse. Noel shrugged. I see. Flora smiled. He is not only strong but also has the quality of a lord. What are you planning? Noel frowned. Who knows? At the very least, I understand what kind of person he is. For now, I'll just keep an eye on him. Eventually, he will choose the student council if he ever encounters a problem too hard for him to handle. After all, Vivian is still giving that tough love to him, even though she sugarcoats it as independent. Flora shrugged. Noel thought for a moment and said, I think he will grow even further once he joins the student council. However, I can't see him holding any position right now. It's true that he is strong, but becoming the student council president doesn't suit him. He is not someone who can handle a secretary's job, and I don't think he is good enough in business to be our treasurer. So you're trying to say that your position is the only one that is suitable for him? Noel shook her head. I'm not sure. His unique familiars will draw controversy. And without a certain background, there will be a lot of people unwilling to receive the punishments he administers. Well, we'll just wait and see for the time being. Flora waved her hand. Thank you for telling me about him. Vivian's office. That was what happened. Nathan ended his story with a sigh. Vivian's expression was already dark as she learned more and more about his recklessness. She never thought that he would receive the blade in his stomach. One wrong move would cause internal bleeding and kill him. It was true that due to the Aina, their bodies were much stronger than normal people, but it didn't change the fact that it was extremely dangerous. Vivian pinched the bridge of her nose. You actually fought a juvenile class mutant when I already told you to run away. Nathan nodded with a solemn expression. I know that the way I have been acting might make me look like a coward, running away and stuff like that. However, just letting several innocent people die puts a bad taste in my mouth. Of course, I won't risk my life if I'm fully aware that stopping the enemy will change nothing. That's why I can only say, I don't like fighting in a battle I don't have the chance to win. Vivian looked at him for a moment before pinching the bridge of her nose. I won't lecture you any further. This is your life, so I won't control you. However, do remember that there are people who will be sad if you are gone. I understand. I'm sorry. Nathan lowered his head. Either way, you have received all the cores, right? Yes. Is there any difference between a normal core and a mutant core? Nathan asked. The mutant has Aina at least 2 to 5 times the alien of the same class. In addition, the mutant core won't give you that uncomfortable feeling, meaning that it's absorbed into your body right away. Oh. Nathan nodded. It seems you also have a mature class core. What are you planning to do with it? I don't know yet. I'm not sure whether I'm strong enough to swallow the mature class core or not. Vivian didn't answer immediately. Instead, she came to Nathan and grabbed his arm. She noticed the flow of Aina in his body and the robustness of his muscles. I never thought you would become this strong in such a short amount of time. With this body, you should be able to absorb the mature class core. I will allow it. Vivian nodded. Now that he thought about it, 1 full day hadn't passed yet ever since the contract. It seemed that because of Anubis' super strength, he could actually absorb the core. If he added Fenrir's strength into the mix, he might not have trouble swallowing the core. Is there anything that you'd like to know? You have done a great job in defeating a juvenile class mutant and leading the mission. I believe I should reward you as your teacher. Is there anything you want? Nathan looked down for a moment. He never thought he would get this opportunity. Although this was reckless, he had to do it for the sake of the third familiar. Is there any way for me to find anything related to a dragon, like a dragon scale, dragon blood, or something? Vivian was shocked by the request, but she didn't reject him immediately. She actually considered Nathan's current situation before saying, I'll try. Thank you so much. Nathan looked excited, as he could finally complete his preparation to summon the third familiar. Anything else? No. That's all. All right. Vivian suddenly caught him off guard when she hugged him. She said, I'm glad that you're fine, but don't be too reckless next time. This? Nathan thought Vivian was a strict teacher, but she turned out to be emotional. It was probably because Nathan almost died that it reminded her of her past. Vivian let him go after half a minute. You should get some rest for today, and just take the course tomorrow. Yes. Nathan nodded while thinking, I wonder how much Aina would the mutant core and the mature class core give me. It should be enough to summon the third familiar, I guess. Now that I think about it, I haven't asked about Selena's absorption rate. How much Aina does she get from one proto-class core? Nathan thought while opening the door. To his surprise, Selena was actually waiting for him outside. She was holding a briefcase that contained her new stuff, as if she had just picked it and waited for him here. Selena. Are you waiting for me? But wait. Nathan looked back and noticed what was going on. Since when did you know? From the beginning. I just happened to see you meeting her in the cafeteria, after the terrorist attack. Just happened. Nathan squinted his eyes. If it was about the terrorist attack, they definitely went separate ways. Alicia wasn't enough to connect him with Vivian. Was it really a coincidence? Selena fell silent for a moment before looking away. I was curious. Nathan chuckled. Ha ha ha. Why are you laughing? Nothing. I'm just thinking that your face and your way of speaking are so different from each other to the point where it makes you cute. Selena's body twitched. Even though she didn't blush, it was clear that she was embarrassed and was a bit angry at Nathan for teasing her. She said, there is nothing cute about a girl who has lost her expression. You don't have to smile to show you are happy, you don't need to cry to express your sorrow, your words, actions, or just even your small habit can express everything. That's what the experts on Reddit said. Reddit. Selena tilted her head in confusion. It's nothing. Just a community for us commoners. Don't worry about it. Selena nodded. By the way, how much do you know about the next event? I heard you bet on it in the Summoners' War. I don't know much, but I have heard something like another trip. But this time, it's a group survival or something. Then again, they are pretty much changing it every year, so no one can really guarantee that is true. I see. Nathan nodded in understanding. All right. I don't know if we can get a mission or not since I have to wait for my teacher's confirmation, but if we can't, you'll probably need to choose the mission. All right. There is something I'm curious about. The crystal that I gave you. Nathan paused, hesitant to ask it since it was private information. After doing some calculations, I should have had around 2,500 Aina in the beginning. I have a large amount of Aina to begin with, which causes the Academy to scout me immediately. Currently, I have 1,300 Aina in my reserve, and each protoclass core gives me 10 Aina. I don't know if it's high, but it shouldn't be low. Selena worded it in a way that she was aware of her talent, but not bragged too much about it. However, Nathan couldn't help but take a step back, looking at Selena as if she was a monster. He was screaming, what the heck? 10 Aina per core. I only get like 5 Aina every 3 cores. How is this fair? Do you know how many cores I have swallowed? And what's the heck with that monstrous absorption rate? I don't know the scale for each quality, but with that talent, her quality should be at the perfect level and it's possible for it to be at a high tier. In other words, the highest quality the world knows. It's insane. From Nathan's reaction, she realized that people had their respective rate, and Nathan's was much lower than her. It might even be lower than a half, not lower than a quarter. She finally realized that despite having such a talent, Nathan was able to keep up just fine. He must have worked extremely hard, and wasn't too shy to ask for guidance. It was because of this quality that Selena respected him much more than the rest of the class. Well, I can probably reach that once I absorb more and more cores to level up. When I reached the good quality before summoning Anubis, I got 2 Ana per core, so it's doable. I'll just continue at my own pace and get the last laugh, thought Nathan. Nathan crossed his arms and muttered, if we are looking at the absorption rate, there is a high chance that in the future, there will be an additional test for the admission exam. They'll be testing the students' rates so that they don't have to get more cores than they can expect from others with higher talents. Nathan simply said that people like him would be cut off in the future, yet he remained calm, as if he could become a prime example that this talent, while it affected a person's growth, was unnecessary to take into account. Selena paused for a moment before asking, "Can I ask you something I'm troubled with?" "Yes. I'm thinking about learning from all 4 departments right now. Am I being too greedy? The combat department will be good to hone my fighting skill, the magic department can give me some ideas what I'm supposed to do, the command department will allow me to gain a better field of vision while still fighting in the front, and lastly the research department can help me understand my familiars. Aren't you being too greedy? The magic department and combat department are basically the same for my fighting style, so it's not like I waste my time. The command department is probably taking too much of my time, but I have been in the research department this whole time." Nathan thought for a moment. "Why don't you just join the magic department together with me? I think it should be possible for us to spar. I also need some experience in close-quarter combat. Fenrir and Anubis will probably be enough to teach us." "Oh." Selena nodded in agreement. If Nathan was willing to ask them, she had no reason to reject. "I'll still help you with the exploding Ana. If you want to learn anything else, you can ask me. I'll teach you if it's something I can do." "Thank you. In that case, let's meet again tomorrow and prepare for the next event. It should be 1.5 months after the Battle Royale, right?" "Yes. We have plenty of time to get missions." Nathan nodded and waved his hand while walking away. In his heart, his fire was blazing at full force. He truly had to work even harder from this point on or Selena would completely surpass him. "Ha ha ha ha. She is going to surpass you." Fenrir laughed out loud. "That's true. You will have no choice but to follow her from now on." Anubis also did the same. Both of them looked happy after Nathan shared Selena's talent. He was silent the whole time, watching these 2 betray him. "Now you finally understand that you need to get power before women." Fenrir grinned. "I agree with him this time." Anubis nodded. "You can get all the women you want if you have power. If you can't get them, that means you don't use enough power." Nathan sighed. "You guys are always saying power, power, power. I admit that you guys are correct, but I'm a guy who likes to enjoy the moment as well. It's not about the end goal for me. The progress, the journey, the scenery. I want to experience it all." Nathan shrugged. "Yeah, but it didn't change the fact that she was attracted to you because of your power. If you didn't summon us, would it be the same?" Nathan's body shook as he tried to refute it. "This bro is charming. Besides, I can create art." "Art? You haven't even picked up anything that can be called art." "Bullshit is an art, you don't know that." Nathan shrugged. Fenrir clicked his tongue while Anubis asked, "Still, it doesn't change the fact that she is more talented than you right now. You might be able to raise your talent as you raise your level, but she will probably shoot up so high that you won't be able to catch up to her by that time. It's not like you're going to accept if she gives you the cores, right?" Nathan looked away, unable to deny all those claims. "Maybe I should just focus on myself and get as much Ana as I can to increase my talent. After that, I will abandon you too instead of sacrificing my Ana." "You dare." Anubis stood up while Fenrir shouted, "I'm going to bite yours off so that you can't chase women if you dare." Nathan let out a long sigh. "And who is the divine beast that gives you that confidence?" "You said he came from the same myth as me, but because I was locked up back then, so I never met him." Fenrir asked. Nathan opened the briefcase Alicia gave him earlier, showing a root-filled enormous amount of aina. There wasn't a single leak on the briefcase, so they didn't realize it contained such a powerful material. What is this? I can see that it's possessing as much power as I do at my peak. Anubis frowned. Fenrir squinted his eyes. A tree root. Yep, specifically, the divine tree's root. Nathan nodded. I'm planning to summon a dragon that gnaws at the root of the Yggdrasil. A divine tree's root is the perfect substitute for it. This dragon is known to have the power of chaos and destruction. This was Nathan's choice because they were limited to resources and information. Heh. Is he strong? Well, compared to other dragons that I know, he is strong, but not the strongest. Not the strongest. There are a lot of strong dragons after all. For example, Tiamat. She is the primordial dragon goddess representing the chaos of the ocean. When they heard the example, both Fenrir and Anubis looked at him in disgust. As if he knew everything about him, Fenrir said, "You give that example because you think she will have a human form and create a harem of your own, right?" Nathan fell silent, not denying or confirming. He ignored it and added, "There is also Fafnir, a greedy dragon in the same myth as you, Fenrir. Or Quetzalcoatl, a serpent dragon from Aztec mythology, or Shenlong, a dragon god that controls the weather. I might probably need to gather 7 dragon balls to sacrifice before I can summon him, anyway. There are a lot of examples, but I'm not very sure what items I need to sacrifice, and how I can get those items. Meanwhile, I can get this root easily because of my teacher. Hence, I plan to summon Nidhogg." Anubis couldn't help but ask, "If that's the case, shouldn't you use money to bring out that greedy dragon?" Nathan pointed at the root and said, "This one is free." He probably meant to use the money to bring out a dragon, and use the root for another familiar. I don't know what I can summon with the root alone. Am I going to summon the Yggdrasil? But I don't think a tree is considered a beast, right? Fair enough. Anyway, I'm planning to have this new guy and you two to have 1,000 aina each before the next event. Of course, I'll also have a similar amount of aina, Nathan explained. For that, you need to hunt a lot of aliens. Anubis nodded in agreement. We'll help as much as we can. Fenrir nodded, so Nathan asked, "Speaking of helping, Fenrir, I need your strength enhancement so that I can absorb the mature class core. I'm planning to absorb the proto-class first so that I have enough to reach the good quality again. With this I can get 2 aina per core, which means getting more aina when I swallow the mutant and mature class cores." Sounds good enough. Fenrir agreed to lend him and immediately established the contract. After all the preparation was ready, Nathan sat down on the bed and started swallowing the cores one by one. As soon as he finished all the proto-class cores, he moved to the mutant core. Nothing happened like Vivian said, so he could proceed with the mature class core. The mature class core was actually a little bigger than the proto-class core, but the aina concentrated inside was much more potent. He was slightly nervous because Vivian had to inspect him first before giving him the permission to swallow it. The moment he devoured this core, Nathan learned why she needed to do that. Nathan's eyes rolled up as his body fell to the bed, and arched before he started screaming. "Aha! Aya!" Nathan had expected a more uncomfortable feeling than a proto-class since he had found the same thing when he absorbed the juvenile class. Never in his wildest dream would he think of pain when absorbing a core. His eyes were rolling back, leaving only the white behind. His body first arched up before it started writhing on the bed. He kept clutching his chest as the pain was concentrated in that part, as if the core was stuck on his trachea. The pain was not ordinary. He managed to endure the excruciating pain from getting stabbed, yet Nathan actually screamed like never seen before. The pain must be unimaginable. "Oi, stupid dog! What is happening here? What is going on? Heal him!" Fenrir panicked. "I don't know. This must be a reaction to eating the core. There should be no problem." Anubis gritted his teeth. He was using his healing ability, but there was no effect. Then what are we going to do? The reaction has never been this severe. They didn't know what was going on or what they were supposed to do. After all, Nathan's knowledge about summoning was limited, which reflected to them. Calm down for a second. Anubis observed Nathan and said, from what I can see, he is only experiencing pain. And he is trying to maintain his consciousness. Since there is no injury, it means that the core is merging with him, but the problem is that he has your strength enhancement. Is it relevant? This is just a theory, but it seems that to swallow a higher class core, you need a sturdier body. He must have asked someone about it and gotten permission since he suddenly requested your strength. But it works, right? There's no way the soul contract doesn't work. You should know that. I know. But what if? Anubis fell silent for a moment. What if it was because it is artificial that he becomes like this? Fenrir widened his eyes in shock. Is he going to die? I don't know. All we can do is observe him or find someone who knows about it. But if he has received permission, that means he's already qualified to absorb it, right? Fenrir frowned before coming to the same conclusion. Then all we need to do is observe him. Yeah. The two gradually calmed down, even though it was uncomfortable to see him writhing in pain. They didn't mind laughing at him or teasing him, but they didn't want him to be hurt. Nathan kept enduring the pain for more than an hour. The room had been soundproofed since the room was their private space to talk with their familiars within the academy. Then again, some students were going on a mission and some were not even in their room. The last few people that were currently inside their room either didn't hear it or didn't want to bother with it. That was also why no one would help if Fenrir and Anubis refused to call for help. After an hour, Nathan had stopped screaming even though he was still wriggling around. It took 2 whole hours before he finally stopped moving. Ha! Ha! Nathan panted heavily. His throat was dry because he kept screaming. Even though Anubis kept healing him, he still needed water. Fenrir also jumped to the bed, asking with a worried expression, "How do you feel right now? Is there anything wrong? Do you need anything?" 1 minute. Nathan answered weakly as Anubis grabbed a cup of water with his bandage and gave it to him. Nathan didn't immediately grab it. After a few minutes, Nathan gradually stood up, his body drenched in sweat. He grabbed the cup and drank like he hadn't drunk anything in the last few days. Ha! Ha! What is that? Nathan didn't want to recall the pain at all. It was unimaginably painful. It felt like his body was being torn apart. Was it like Anubis said? Was it because of the artificial strength that you were like this? I don't know. I should probably ask my teacher about it. Nathan shook his head helplessly. I'm scared that I will have to get used to this kind of pain. Won't I become an M at that time? Anubis and Fenrir didn't know what he was talking about. Anyway, I think that the pain I endure is nothing compared to the thing I gain. The pain had indeed subsided after an hour, but his head was ringing after that, giving him some weird understanding that he couldn't even explain. What did you get? Fenrir asked. Before answering to Fenrir, Nathan walked to the mirror and saw his status, finally understanding what happened. Name, Nathan Rekmoon. Level, 67. Race, human. Quality, good, mid. As expected. Nathan chuckled. My quality has reached mid-tier. What? Fenrir gasped. How much Aina did the mutant core and the mature class core contained? I don't know, but it should be a lot. Nathan took a deep breath. What I get this time is my soul contract getting upgraded. Soul contract is getting upgraded. What can you do? Fenrir looked shocked. Soul contract is a versatile and omnipotent ability if you look at it from a certain perspective. It allows you to establish a contract with us, or probably other humans, if it's possible. Anubis squinted his eyes, unable to imagine what kind of power he got from the upgrade. Nathan smirked. With this new contract, I can actually form a contract with an element in a certain area. For example, if I make a contract with a fire, I will be able to control that fire. If I make a contract with the wind, I'll control the wind in a certain area. There is range and limit, but it's actually pretty strong if you think about it. That is true, but what is the price? The price is the same. It means I sacrifice the Aina for that area. Or maybe it's more accurate that I release the Aina back to nature. Anubis thought for a moment. Doesn't that mean it's a double-edged sword? Yes. If I sacrifice a huge amount of Aina, it might be extremely powerful. But I'll lose that Aina permanently. In other words, this is my trump card that can probably save my life in the future. I just wish I didn't need to use it. The loss of Aina is simply saddening. Both Anubis and Fenrir knew that ability was extremely powerful, since he could contract an element. If they took another look, there was a chance that Nathan could contract an object like a desk or anything, which could become a weapon or something. If Nathan kept progressing this way, the soul contract might become an extremely powerful ability. And Nathan was the one possessing it. They knew Nathan could bring the best out of that ability, or at least, much better than them. That was what made Anubis and Fenrir excited. What if Nathan had too much Aina to spare in the future? That contract might end up becoming permanent. It seemed that there was still a lot to see from this summoner of theirs. So you felt excruciating pain? Vivian nodded in understanding. As if she had expected this outcome, Vivian asked, "How long did it take for you to pass out?" "I didn't. I endured it all." Nathan shook his head, thinking, I have seen plenty of this scenario playing in those cultivation-type novels. If they are experiencing pain, they will have to endure it and can't pass out. The moment they pass out, their body will explode. That's why I endured it to the best of my ability. To his surprise, Vivian was taken aback by the declaration. "You didn't pass out?" "Yes." "Is there a problem?" Nathan frowned. "What is actually happening to your body when you ingest the core?" Vivian moved to the blackboard on the side and grabbed a picture of human anatomy. She pointed at the mouth with her wooden stick. "The core will melt and enter your body in the form of Aina. As you already know, your body is a beacon, but at the same time, it's a container for this Aina. This is actually the special trait of a summoner, which differentiates between a summoner and a normal person. Only those who have the body that can contain Aina will become a summoner. After swallowing the core, the Aina will spread all over your body, trying to escape, but because everything has been sealed, the Aina can't go out. As a result, your body's metabolism will proceed in integrating this Aina into your body, trapping it forever. What makes you uncomfortable is your body working harder than usual, but everything is done automatically by your body. In that case, what will happen if you swallow a higher class core or multiple cores at once? Your body will have to work even harder, which will cause even more discomfort. What if you push that body to the limit by maybe absorbing an even more powerful core? Your body will overheat. As a result, you'll experience that kind of pain. If you get knocked out, it won't change much other than the fact your metabolism will slow down, which means it will take a longer time to finish. You will be unconscious for as long as that duration or even longer, which is dangerous if you do it in a dangerous place. However, it won't harm your body or kill you. Your body has a certain limit, so unless that limit is surpassed, your body will be able to endure it. On the other hand, if you swallow 2 mature class cores at once, you will surely die. I want you to learn from this not to swallow a lot of pills at once. Know your limits so that it won't endanger your life. Being too greedy will destroy you after all. Nathan scratched the back of his head. His mind was screaming, so it's okay if I pass out. Those motherfuckers keep writing that you can't pass out every time, cultivation scam, then again, this is not a cultivation world. Nathan let out a long sigh. I understand. I'll know my limit. Your current limit is the mature class alien core. If you absorb more than that, you will die. Yes. Nathan nodded with a serious expression. Vivian took out 2 letters and handed them to him. This is the letter of recommendation from the principal. Our principal might have a unique personality, but he has a broad connection, including to the man called the Dragon King. He is the man who has the draconian I mentioned in the past. I have written the instructions as to where to go and how you can visit him, as well as the map. Just follow them and you'll meet that person. The second one is the recommendation letter from the principal. After defeating Noel, you have piqued a lot of people's interests. I'm afraid that not only the nobles in this kingdom, but also people from other kingdoms have heard about you. After all, you have confirmed that you are not only unique, but also very strong. The principal and probably the Dragon King have heard about you and definitely would like to meet you. However, he puts out 3 conditions. As long as you can fulfill those 3 conditions, he will give you not only a drop of the draconian's blood but also a scale. First of all, you are going to complete a mission from him. He will give you the details himself. The second condition is allowing him to watch you perform the summoning ritual. He is probably trying to see the dragon you manage to summon. Last but not least, if you truly summon a dragon, he would like to ask for a drop of its blood. Nathan couldn't help but furrow his eyebrows. A drop of dragon's blood. Teacher. I know. Those are his conditions. As for the third condition, I think you can talk to him personally. He is a fierce man, but he is a good guy that can be reasoned with. If you reject it, he won't do anything to you. Nathan thought for a moment. He asked, did he mention anything about bringing someone else? No. That means you are allowed to bring Selena with you if you want. Regarding Selena, I also want to warn you about something. Vivian's expression turned solemn. Beware of the Ashton family. If there is someone who doesn't want Selena to succeed, it will be them. I don't think they're going to make their move soon, but they will definitely come. Are you going to persuade me to not approach her? Why would I persuade you? I just want to warn you, so if you decide to do it, you are already aware of the risk. You are a smart person, so I will trust your judgment. And it seems that the principal is still sour about me getting you. He might end up getting Selena for himself, considering her hidden talent is enormous. Ha ha ha. Nathan nodded his head. I understand. In that case, I'll make preparations to go there. As Vivian said, a lot of nobles or even kingdoms heard about Nathan. The one with the biggest reaction was actually the king of the Azelia kingdom, Julius de Veta Azelia. After wearing his crown for over 40 years, the king was giving an atmosphere of a kind and benevolent king. While sitting on his throne and looking at the empty room, he couldn't help but chuckle. Did you hear that, Zach? Your daughter lost to a freshman. The Zach in his mouth was one of the best swordsmen in the Azelia kingdom, serving as the vice-captain of the royal guard, Zach Flamanti. He had a rather gentle appearance, despite serving as the royal guard. He was wearing a black-colored uniform with a sword hanging on his waist. While resting his hand on his sword, he said, "My apologies, Your Majesty. My daughter has disappointed you." Despite apologizing, Zach didn't even put down that hand from his sword, so he knew Zach didn't mean it completely. However, Julius didn't get angry. He simply said, "We know your daughter is an iron lady. That's why I'm even more impressed by the boy who manages to take her down. You're not going to punish him, right?" Zach shook his head. "Why should I be angry? For example, honor. Honor can't protect the kingdom from those aliens. If there is someone talented emerging in our kingdom, it's only right to rejoice. Besides, it's just losing once. I have lost multiple times and learned from every single one of them. As long as we can learn from our mistakes, why should we get angry? My daughter and I are not that petty. I thought about asking Flora to make him her retainer, but I guess I don't have to. From what my daughter said, Her Highness has invited him to join the student council. Flora might be playful, but she is wise enough to know what she should do and shouldn't. That's why I entrusted the matter regarding the Phryxia Academy to her. If needed, she will probably try to sponsor him to establish the connection. The problem is... Julius paused. Zack squinted his eyes and muttered one name. The Ashton family. Yes. After Count Ashton disappeared, the acting count can't be compared to him in any field. For someone as power-hungry as him without having the ability to back him up, he will probably try to send the daughter of Count Ashton away with either political marriage or assassination. Should we warn him, Your Majesty? Zack asked. Not yet. This can be served as a way to establish a connection, and see the qualifications that both of them have. Selena Ashton and Farmer Nathan. Zack noticed something. Your Majesty. Are you? Julius smirked. We always know that relationships will grow stronger during hardship. That's why it's better to leave them be. Besides, if that farmer boy is indeed exceptional, he will be able to overcome it. His teacher, Vivian, won't let them kill him anyway. Who do you think is the easiest person to flee from this kingdom? It's the people from the slums. The second. It's the common people. They don't have a lot, so it doesn't cost them as much to move to other kingdoms. However, what if he marries into the Ashton family? He can't leave the kingdom as easily. Basically, Selena Ashton is a key to retain that farmer boy from getting swayed by other countries. And from what I've heard, Selena Ashton is as talented as her ancestor. If that's the case, what kind of talented child will be born between a mother with monstrous talent and a father who has a unique summon? There was no need for the king to continue. Zack couldn't imagine it, but he was sure it would be extraordinary. Having such a talent in their country was something they should be joyful about. I see. Zack nodded. Congratulations, Your Majesty. You have just got two talented individuals. Ashton family. You said that Selena Ashton won't be able to do anything in the academy. Look at what she has become. Her talent has been known around the kingdom. A high-pitched voice echoed from inside the room. Inside, there was a middle-aged woman slapping the wooden table, releasing her frustration. She was none other than Selena's formerly second mother, who later married to her uncle for the sake of position. Unlike the king, who valued the talents emerging in his kingdom, the acting count was crushing the paper in his hand while gnashing his teeth. Selena Ashton. Again and again. You just have to keep coming back like a cockroach. If you think you can escape your fate, then you're dead wrong. He had read about Selena's accomplishments, from her extraordinary strength to her new species familiar. If this continued, it wouldn't be weird for Serena to be one of the best in the academy after 1 or 2 years and even join the student council. While there was indeed no guarantee she could summon a vampire progenitor, it didn't change the fact that she could still reclaim her right as the family's rightful heir if she made a lot of connections. Tell Victor to observe her movement. Observing her alone won't do anything. She glared at him. That slut is clinging to a man who is rumored to be the disciple of that Vivian. Shut up. You are the same. Just tell him to inform us when she is gone. Even if we can't do anything to her inside the academy, there is no telling if an accident happens while she is outside. The acting count banged the table louder than her, showing his frustration because he was the one who had to do it, unlike her, who could only complain. Meanwhile, Nathan and Serena were already in front of the academy. Young master. Are you going to be all right? Alicia looked worried, fully aware of what kind of person they were going to meet. I know, Alicia. I'll be careful. Nathan nodded. I'm already grateful enough that I can get an opportunity to meet such a powerful figure. Besides, Selena is here with me. Alicia sighed. I understand. As usual, I'll be waiting for your return. Yep. Nathan waved his hand as he walked away with Selena. This is Solarii City, Selena muttered while looking around. The city gave a different vibe than all the cities she had visited before. The city was the combination of civilization and nature. There were a lot of tall trees with houses at the top, and each of them was connected either with ladders or bridges. Several buildings were also erected on the ground between the trees. Unlike the ones at the top, they were made of bricks and other more robust materials. The buildings' shapes looked mostly like a box, but that simplicity allowed a lot of other species to live. There was a moon with cat ears running on the wooden bridge, there was a group of harpies hanging around on the tree's branches, and there were even humans and other races hanging around and drinking together on the side of the street. This is a place where familiars can mingle with others freely. It doesn't matter if you are a human or any other race, they guarantee your right. Selena inhaled deeply, impressed by the sight. All those giant trees made the city even more look majestic, which took Nathan's breath away. Where are we supposed to go? Selena asked. Nathan opened the letter and read it for her. There is a white-colored building 2 blocks away from here. It has a golden dragon plaque on it, so we have to go there and ask about the Dragon King's current whereabouts. Then, let's go. Sure. Nathan took the lead while reading the instruction. It didn't take them a lot of time to find the building, especially with such a huge plaque hanging on top of its door. The man known as the Dragon King was actually a leader of a mercenary organization, so the building they were asked to go to was actually one of its branches. Nathan and Selena entered the building casually, finding an empty hall with 2 people standing behind a counter. Hello. I've been told to show this letter upon arrival. Nathan showed the letter of recommendation, but surprisingly, the receptionists recognized the seal used in that letter. One of them immediately said, "We have been notified about your arrival, Mr. Nathan. If you want to meet Sir Dragon King, you can visit the hill on the east. It shouldn't be too far away from this city." Oh. Thank you. Nathan nodded as he couldn't help but think that was rather easy. I guess there won't be anyone suddenly appearing out of nowhere that questions my identity. Once they left the building, Nathan asked, I guess we should find a carriage going to that hill. No. I'll ask Risa and Sasha to help. Selena asked. That's also an option. Now that Nathan thought about it, Vivian had never given him an allowance. He thought he needed to sell a core or something to raise enough money for the carriage, but it was unnecessary. As soon as they left the city, Selena summoned her 2 familiars. Risa. You carry him, said Selena. Considering Risa knew more about Nathan, it was only natural. I'll be in your care. Nathan nodded to Risa. Yes. Risa moved to his back and circled her arms around Nathan's chest. Are you ready? Anytime. Before Risa started flying, she fell silent for a moment. Is there something wrong? It's nothing. Risa shook her head. You just smell good. What perfume are you using? Huh? Nathan tilted his head in confusion. I don't use one. Really? Risa looked shocked. What are you two doing? Selena asked, her eyes slightly squinting as if she was a bit displeased. It's nothing. Nathan waved his hand as Risa nodded her head and took off. This was the first time Risa was so close to Nathan that she didn't realize that her drool was leaking out of the corner of her lips when flying. Her head remained close to Nathan's neck, as if it were responding to her natural instinct. Because Selena had been giving her blood from time to time, she had never had a craving for blood, so she didn't notice something was weird about Nathan. Of course, it also meant Nathan didn't know Risa's weird behavior. They simply flew to the aforementioned hill, which took less than 20 minutes to arrive. I guess we have to climb the hill and find him somewhere. Is this hide and seek or something? Nathan muttered while raising his head. I'm here to help. Selena assured him. When they were about to climb the hill, a roar suddenly broke the silence of the hill. Ruea. The ground shook and the trees were swaying as if they were being blown by that roar. How can a human's roar be this loud? Nathan covered his ears. Selena dropped her rod, feeling her eardrums were about to burst. Nathan immediately summoned Fenrir and Anubis. That was when a silhouette suddenly jumped into the air. They couldn't look at this person as his back was facing the sun. "Run away!" Fenrir shouted while Anubis said, "There is someone who has the power equal to a hero." Nathan raised his eyebrows. A person Anubis recognized as a hero was definitely not a weak man, as he was comparing it to his peak state. A heroic figure. Something like Siegfried or Chiron. That person landed in front of them. His landing was so rough that he ended up creating a small crater underneath him. Even then, this person was still looking at them from above. Nathan might not be the tallest, but he wasn't that short either. Yet, this man was significantly taller than him. His spiky hair might have turned white, but that big, muscular body still didn't lose its intensity despite his old age. He gave the feeling of a beast, similar to Fenrir and Anubis. Even those two were ready to create an opportunity for Nathan to run away. The man looked at Nathan as a smirk appeared on his face. "So you are Vivian's disciple, Nathan. I've heard that you're looking for me." Nathan raised his head. Despite him not exuding killing intent or pressuring him, Nathan's body was shaking. Yet Nathan clenched his fists as a small, excited smile appeared on his face. "So this man is the Dragon King. So this man is the Dragon King." Nathan tried his best to calm down, even though the natural aura of this man kept attacking him like a beast staring at its prey. Nathan took a deep breath and politely bowed to him. "It's an honor to meet you, Sir Dragon King. I am Nathan, the disciple of the Forest Queen Vivian." Nathan took out the letter of recommendation and presented it to him. "This is the letter from the principal." A small smile appeared on the Dragon King's face. Even though he could see his hands were trembling, Nathan managed to regain his composure quickly. Selena surprisingly did the same, even though she took a few seconds more. "Since you are here, does that mean you have agreed with my condition?" "About that?" Nathan scratched the back of his head. "What?" "I believe I have been generous enough." The Dragon King squinted his eyes, pressuring Nathan. On the other hand, Nathan simply said, "I've heard that Solarii City is a city that your familiars get their right recognized like any other summoners. If I agree to your condition, specifically your third condition, I'm afraid that I'm treating my familiar like an object of trade." The Dragon King squinted his eyes, but Nathan chose to confront him. "So you are saying you want me to get your familiar's agreement?" "Yes." Nathan nodded. "If I can't do that, I will take my leave and apologize for wasting your time." "Does that even matter? I can force you to stay here forever." The Dragon King smirked. Nathan gulped down. If the Dragon King wanted to kill him, he could kill him with a flick of his finger. However, Nathan remained as calm as possible and said, "I don't think someone as wise as the Dragon King will do something like that." "Ho! Do you think I'm afraid of your teacher? Vivian is still a junior to me. I couldn't care less about her opinion." "Not at all. I'm just thinking that you'll be in a lot of trouble if you kill me. First of all, I'm here because of the principal's permission. And if you're planning to eliminate me, it means that there will be a lot of people getting pissed, because they won't likely find the reason for my unique summoning. And of course, you'll be held accountable. They won't offend me just because of a brat like you." "Really?" Nathan smirked. The Dragon King squinted his eyes. The pressure became even more overbearing, which made Nathan's face turn pale. However, the pressure soon disappeared to the point where Nathan couldn't feel anything from him. The Dragon King said, "Fine by me. I finally understand what kind of person you are through that conversation. In fact, you must have realized that I'm just testing you, right? Ahahaha. I don't dare to claim I've seen through your test. If not, my body won't be shaking." Even though Nathan said it that way, his mind was screaming another thing, ha ha ha. "I have seen a lot of old men testing with this kind of pressure. Too easy." The Dragon King said, "In that case, I'll be getting your familiar's permission first, but you also have to help persuade your familiar. If he still doesn't agree, we can forget about it." Understood. Nathan nodded. You don't have the problem with the other two conditions. It is only right for me to do something for the Dragon King in exchange for the blood and the scale. As for watching me summon my third familiar, I can only say that there is no one more reliable than having you. After all, both of us want the summoning to succeed. Nathan smiled. Who knows? I might not want you to succeed, especially a sly brat like you. Please don't joke around. You are probably the person who wants this summoning to succeed the most. Not only do you want to see the real dragon, but you are also wanting its blood. If that's the case, it means you want that blood either for yourself or someone you hold dearly. Oi! The Dragon King's expression turned cold. My apologies. I have crossed the line. Pfft. The Dragon King suddenly burst into laughter, which startled Nathan and Selena. He said, ha ha ha. You think you have crossed the line? You are not, though. In fact, the mission is related to that. I just want to see your face when you are in trouble. Nathan's eyebrows twitched. How could he be this petty? The Dragon King turned serious and looked to the east. On the eastern border, there is a small breach. I've gotten a report from my subordinates that they have patched the hole, but there are still a lot of aliens scattered in our territory. I want you to meet my daughter over there. I'm assuming that she is planning to take down a mature class alien. Do you want me to help her against the mature class alien? I don't think I'm that capable. I know. What I want you to do is actually show off. I have been thinking of putting her into an academy, but she has never gone to one. Due to her talent, there are many people trying to invite her to various academies, but she always wants to remain in the mercenary group. Although I'm impressed by her dedication, I want her to enjoy a normal life for her age. So if you go there, I just want you to help her, maybe showing off a bit, which will pique her interest in going to the academy. Nathan thought for a moment. I don't think I have that power. Maybe, maybe not. But you should understand what I'm trying to do, right? Just do it. Even if you fail, I'll still give you what I've promised. If you succeed, I'll throw some bonuses. What do you think? The Dragon King asked. Nathan contemplated before glancing at Selena. The latter tilted her head in confusion. Nathan raised two fingers. As long as you don't mind the method, and the bonuses are for both of us. I have a high chance of making her go to the academy. The Dragon King considered his condition carefully before asking, will it put her in any harm? I don't plan to harm her. Nathan shook his head, assuring the Dragon King. All right. If you can make her go to the academy, I'll accept. But remember, you will get nothing if you fail. I'll do my best. Nathan nodded. Selena had been observing their negotiation the whole time. There was no word to describe her shock. Did he actually negotiate terms with the Dragon King? Did he not know what kind of person the Dragon King is? Selena squinted her eyes, realizing that Nathan had been talking like an equal. And surprisingly, the Dragon King wasn't displeased by the agreement. Wait here for a bit. The Dragon King walked back to the forest and returned 5 minutes later. He gave Nathan a small badge and said, go to Wall City next to the Blue River. Follow the river to the border and you will find the camp there. Meet her and tell her that this is my order. You are to join her to deal with the aliens. However, she is in charge of the plan. Follow whatever she asks, as long as it's not sending you to your death. She should be surrounded by several advisors of my group, so they will definitely regard my badge highly. I know her character the most, so if you want to know everything, go to a bald, middle-aged man named Mando. He will explain everything to you. Any questions? No. Nathan shook his head. In that case, I wish you luck. I truly hope that you're able to convince her. I'll do my best. The Dragon King nodded as both of them politely bowed before taking their leave. He went back to the forest once again, as if he continued his training. Meanwhile, Selena looked relieved that nothing happened. Risa and Sasha also felt like their hearts wanted to burst while Fenrir asked, "It seems that you have gotten more than what you're planning for." Indeed. Nathan couldn't contain his grin. "Are you planning to get a lot of cores as a bonus?" Selena asked. Why should I?" Nathan tilted his head in confusion. "Oh, you already have enough Aina to summon the dragon." "Of course not." Selena became even more confused. "If you don't have enough Aina, what are you going to do?" "You have to summon the dragon in front of him, you know." Nathan casually said, "Well, I just have to ask him." "I mean, we have just summoned our second familiar not too long ago. You surely don't think that we have enough Aina to summon the third one, right? And since he is planning to watch, we might as well ask him for some cores to supply enough Aina for the summoning. Of course, you can treat it as a bonus, but don't forget that he will have to get the agreement of the dragon. Since our familiar is aware of what is happening outside, and what kind of person I'm, he is surely going to extort, ahem. I mean, ask for compensation. Maybe more cores or something else. Either way, I'm going to ask him to teach me a technique or something. Having the Dragon King to give you some advice, or teach you a technique would definitely be worth more than mere cores, right?" With a huge grin on his face, he asked, "He won't be that stingy, right?" Selena widened her eyes as if she couldn't believe that Nathan was actually scamming the Dragon King. He just didn't negotiate with him. He completely scammed him. Fenrir's eyebrows twitched as he looked at Nathan while thinking, "This guy. Why does he sound like my father?" Anubis said, "But won't that displease him if he finds out about it?" "Nope. If he was that petty, he would have stopped me from negotiating with him. He should have realized that I'm up to something, but he still agrees after not being able to figure out my intention. Besides, all I ask is just to learn something. It's not like I'm asking his daughter's hand in marriage, so to be honest, it's not that much. He won't care about my request, and will just treat it as an evaluation of me. If he knows I'm like this, it'll be easier for me to handle all the problems that might suddenly occur. In fact, he might even come to cooperate with me again. I have to be independent, so I have no choice but to take some risks and make a connection here and there." "So what are you planning to do to make his daughter go to the academy?" "Well, there are several ways. I think it's better not to explain it because I need some sincere reaction, or she might notice I'm just baiting her." "Well, I can probably give you a clue. Remember what the Dragon King said earlier regarding the arrangement?" "Yes. We'll be under her." "No. I'm talking about the second part. The man called Mando." "Indeed. I'm planning to use him to create a situation for us. Since the Dragon King trusts him that much, it means that this guy is also in favor of sending her to the academy. If we can get his help, it'll be much easier to convince her." Anubis nodded in understanding. Fenrir harumphed as if he didn't want to be tricked. Selena felt impressed by his thought. Despite being born as the son of a farmer, Nathan's unique way of thinking bloomed even further in this kind of place. She wondered how a farmer could have the courage to negotiate with the Dragon King, let alone demand things from him. She really had a lot of things to learn from him. Now that Fenrir and Anubis had been recalled, Risa and Sasha took off, returning to the teleportation circle. They didn't bother to search for an inn since they would end up camping on the battlefield. Little did they know, this mission wouldn't go as they expected. Nathan and Selena followed the instruction of the Dragon King, and followed the Blue River. This was the first time they actually went to a battlefield, and while it wasn't on the border, it was much closer compared to the Tevlin forest. And the situation was much more chaotic than they ever imagined. "Doctor. We need treatments. Help. We need some help. This guy is dying." A lot of soldiers and mercenaries were going back and forth, carrying injured people on the stretchers. One person had their entire arm gone as though it had been eaten, another person had a big hole in their body, and another one had their ear, and a small portion of his head destroyed. It was at this moment that certain information clicked in their mind. The summoners were so rare that out of 1,000 people, only one of them was a summoner. They had been so occupied with the academy that they forgot about that fact. In this camp that seemed to have 1,000 people, the most they had were probably several summoners. And that was because the Dragon King's group had taken over the camp. Even then, the casualties didn't come only from the soldiers, but also from the normal mercenaries. They were wearing armor and holding high-quality weapons, but it didn't change the fact that their bodies couldn't contain Aina, which was what they needed to fight an alien. For the first time in their lives, they witnessed how chaotic and horrifying a battlefield could be. Selena furrowed her eyebrows as she couldn't help but grab Nathan's sleeve. The atmosphere was different compared to what she had endured so far. Nathan didn't hesitate to take this chance to grab her hand and lead the way. There were a lot of tents erected in this camp. With a single glance, they could see the inside of a huge tent with tens of patients getting treated. Some were already crying as if they had lost their comrades, some managed to recover. Nathan kept going even though he didn't know where he should find the Dragon King's daughter. Nathan looked around, wondering if there was someone they could ask. Of course, Selena had recalled Risa and Sasha to avoid problems or unwarranted attention. Eventually, they found a huge tent with multiple guards standing in front of them. There might be a commander of the army, so even if he couldn't meet him, he could still ask for directions from the guard. Nathan approached the tent, which caused the guards to point out their spears at him. "Who are you?" Nathan pointed at his school uniform, specifically the badge on his chest. "We are summoners from the Phyrexia Academy. I am Nathan and she is Selena Ashton. Under the instruction of Sir Dragon King, we are looking for his mercenary group." Nathan explained while taking out the badge that the Dragon King gave him. "Do you know where it is?" The guards widened their eyes in shock when they saw this badge. It had a pair of dragon wings attached to a crown. It was made from gold, which signified the status of the person. "Please wait for a minute." One of them hurriedly entered the tent and brought a bald, middle-aged man outside. He was a thin man that seemed to have no strength to even lift a gallon of water, but they could feel that there was something otherworldly coming out of his body. "I am Mando from the Soaring Dragon Mercenary Squad. Are you the summoner that has the badge of the Dragon King?" "Yes." Nathan showed the badge to him while thinking, so this guy is Mando. Mando took the badge and started releasing his Aina. The badge suddenly emitted a golden glow, which was enough for Mando to confirm their identity. He gave it back while saying, "I have received the guests of the Dragon King. May I know for what reason do you two come here?" "The Dragon King asked us to join the mission. Of course, we'll be following the instructions or plan you have for us." "Is it because of the miss?" Nathan shook his head, hiding the agreement. "Not at all. The agreement is only between us and the Dragon King. It doesn't involve anyone else." Mando nodded. "To be honest, there are already several groups of students roaming around here. All of them except for one group have gone. They are trying to recruit her, but you are probably the first one that manages to gain the favor of the Dragon King. Either way, if you need any help, just come to me." "Understood." Nathan nodded. "In that case, let me bring you inside." Mando opened the tent, allowing them to enter. There were several people standing behind the table while looking at the map inside the tent. They were arguing with one another before they stopped after Nathan and Selena entered. Those on the sides were men and women who looked in their late 20s or early 30s. Meanwhile, the one who led the discussion was definitely the 18 or 19-year-old woman on the opposite side. She was wearing a blue tank top and shorts, exposing her abs and muscles. She gave off a similar fierceness as the Dragon King, but her eyes looked calm as if they were filled with wisdom instead of blazing desire. She raised her head, staring at the two people coming from afar. "Who are they?" she asked while furrowing her eyebrows. Before Nathan showed the badge, he couldn't help but get excited in his mind. Damn. A muscular woman. They are truly giving a different type of charm. I bet she is pretty wild when fighting against her enemy. Wait a minute. If the Monkey King doesn't look beast enough, won't it work if the people in this world summon him? And who is a better candidate other than her? She is talented and she is the daughter of the Dragon King. Besides, she is giving off an aura that a fighter will have, which might be a perfect match with Sun Wukong. Should I somehow befriend her and gradually influence her to summon Sun Wukong? I am a simple man. I can see my idol, I'm happy. Also, I want an autograph. Mando introduced Nathan and Selena. They are the guests of your father. Then, Mando extended his hand while saying, she is Sir Dragon King's daughter, Alavinia. Alavinia couldn't help but furrow her eyebrows. She noticed the badge on their chest and said, I think we already have enough people. Nathan took a step forward and said, I am Nathan, and the person next to me is Selena. We are first-year students from the Phyrexia Academy. Your father, the Dragon King, has given us a mission, which is to help you in this place. We'll follow your plan unless you're sending us to our death. That concludes the message of Sir Dragon King. When she heard Nathan say they would follow her plan, Alavinia immediately gave an order. In that case, go with the Phyrexia Academy. Nathan maintained his silence for a few seconds as if he didn't like the order, but before any conflicts could arise, Mando hurriedly stopped them. In that case, I'll bring them to the group from the Phyrexia Academy. Seeing Mando had said it, she had no choice but to drop this matter off. Mando brought them outside while apologizing. Sorry. The young miss has been invited by so many academies that she is too frustrated to deal with them anymore. It is fine. We have heard her circumstances from Sir Dragon King. By the way, do you know what they're planning to do, Mr. Mando? Nathan asked. The plan is rather simple. The main group, led by the young miss, will head to the center of the forest to fight against the mature class alien. I will have to be there to ensure nothing goes wrong. Meanwhile, you two and the group from the Phyrexia Academy will be positioned on the left side to take care of the aliens that will come to help the mature class alien. Selena picked up something unusual. What do you mean, coming to help? Mando raised one finger. The alien this time is rather weird. Normally, the lower class aliens would be around the alien. However, this alien actually sends the lower class aliens around. The soldiers have been stopping them, but they're going to be destroyed completely if we don't eliminate the mature class alien as quickly as possible. However, the mature class alien is capable of producing a sound that can echo across the entire battlefield, which will recall all the aliens. Selena nodded in understanding. So you want us to block the left side? How many aliens are there? We are unsure about the exact number, but because of the last breach, we are expecting to see a total of 200 protoclass and juvenile aliens from all directions. Since you are only focusing on the left side, it should be only 50. No, 40 aliens or less. The rest will be handled by the soldiers and our people. Selena raised a finger. Last question. How many people does the Phyrexia Academy have? 5 people, 4 of them are first year like you and the other one is a second year. I'm sure that the latter is bringing those 4 to get some experience. Nathan, on the other hand, asked a different topic. Is Miss Alavinia like that most of the time? I'm sorry if I'm wrong and rude, but from my first impression, she is like a person who would be honest with her actions, expressions, or anything that is visible. Mando nodded. Indeed. The young miss is a very straightforward person. She speaks bluntly, so I apologize if she offends you. Mando realized that not anybody could actually receive the invitation of the Dragon King. These two must be somewhat special, so he should be careful. On the other hand, Nathan had actually confirmed what he really needed to complete the Dragon King's real request. I understand. When are we going to leave? We'll be leaving in an hour since we have finished our preparation. This is just the final briefing. Mando explained. Do you need anything else? No. Nathan shook his head. Mando smiled and pointed his hand at the group of students in the corner of the camp. They were chatting like they were on a picnic. Nathan thought that he could spend his time in a more fulfilling way, such as helping with the treatment of the soldiers, but he couldn't waste Anubis Aina, especially before they finished their mission. Although it was a shame, he could only turn a blind eye to the injured soldiers. The other party seemed to have noticed them as well. Their group consisted of 4 males and 1 female. There was one person who was much older than them. He seemed to be the second year that Mando mentioned. The group looked confused, so the guy walked to Mando while asking, "Is there something wrong?" "Who are they?" "They are guests from the Phryxia Academy. We are planning to station you guys together on the left side and repel all the aliens coming from that side." The guy couldn't help but furrow his eyebrows, as if he disliked on how they were forced to cooperate with each other. Nathan also noticed their reaction as he couldn't help but ask inwardly, "What the hell? We are from the Phryxia Academy, right? The #1 academy, right? Even if they dislike it, shouldn't they at least not show it openly as a courtesy?" The guy extended his hand and said, "Retitia Academy's second-year student, Raza. I guess the people from the Phryxia Academy are too proud to shake the hand of the student from a humble background." Nathan shook Raza's hand while saying, "I am Nathan, a first-year student from the Phryxia Academy. We'll be looking forward to working together with you." Raza's expression turned cold as he put more strength into his grip, as if trying to crush Nathan's hand. It was quite painful, but it couldn't be comparable to the pain he felt when absorbing the mature class core. Oh, this. Nathan finally understood what Raza was aiming for. Surprisingly, Nathan didn't fight back. He simply let Raza crush his hand. Instead of fighting power with power, Nathan simply endured the pain with an emotionless face before asking, "Have you eaten your breakfast yet?" Raza widened his eyes in shock. That question was simply a way of Nathan saying he didn't have enough strength to do anything. As someone older than them, he had trained his body much longer, so it was supposed to be obvious that he was stronger. Yet someone who had just gotten into the academy actually dared to say he felt nothing. When Raza was about to squish his hand even harder, Mando immediately stopped him by saying, "We are here to kill the alien, not for competition between academies. If you are going to continue this act, I will have no choice but to expel you from this mission." Mando remained calm, but when they looked at his eyes, there was a trace of murderous intent that made the hair on their arms rise. "Tisk." Raza clicked his tongue and said, "I don't have any intention of getting along with the people from the Phryxia Academy." Nathan looked at him before turning away, as if he were disappointed. "You." Raza clenched his hands into fists, but Mando glared at him. "Enough." Nathan simply shrugged as if he were saying, "I did nothing. I said nothing. Not my fault." Raza snorted and returned to his group. Meanwhile, Nathan said, "We'll be waiting there." "All right. We'll inform you once we're about to set out." Mando sighed and walked away. Selena looked at Nathan with a worried expression while asking, "Are you fine?" "It's nothing. Don't worry about it." Nathan shook his head. After feeling relieved, Selena's face turned dark as she couldn't help but say in a cold tone, "Should we just crush that guy to the point where his pride as a summoner is gone?" There is nothing more humiliating than a guy who is proud of being a summoner, and ends up choosing to never have anything to do with being a summoner again, and lives through that nightmare for the rest of her life. Nathan couldn't help but widen his eyes. Even though her expression didn't change, her words gave chills down his spine. Instead of killing him, Selena actually wanted Raza to be tormented for the rest of his life. Calm down, calm down. Our plan will work even better with them here. Why do you think I did nothing earlier?" Nathan tried to distract her while waiting for them to start. "Well, I just hope the plan works this time. I want to see the dragon as well," Anubis remarked with a casual tone. Both Fenrir and Nathan suddenly turned to Anubis with their foreheads sweating, as if Anubis had just made a big mistake. An hour later. We are about to depart. All personnel gather at the front gate. A soldier moved around, informing everyone out loud. Selena and Nathan exchanged looks as they immediately joined them. The people from the Retitia Academy were furrowing their eyebrows, since this was just a call from the soldier. If they wanted to call a summoner, they should have gone to them personally. However, because Nathan and Selena had gone, it would be very annoying if Mando became disappointed in them. They had to fulfill his expectation if they wanted to meet with Alavinia. Nathan couldn't help but observe these soldiers. They were wearing full-body armor. They were not thick to increase mobility, but they were not too thin either to absorb a lot of impact. Each of them was equipped with an iron sword and a shield. Obviously, the summoners were quite a rare sight, so the soldiers couldn't help but glance at them. Some of them pitied the summoners, thinking that they were still children. Nathan and Selena were already 16 years old, which was already considered an adult in this world. However, it didn't change the fact that they were at least much younger than these soldiers. It was a pity that such young children had to fight in the front line. Eventually, they reached the front, finding several other summoners, including Mando and Alavinia. Raza was already clenching his hands into fists, as if he had prepared all kinds of methods to invite Alavinia. After another 2 minutes, Alavinia moved to the very front and faced the soldiers as she raised her voice. "We are about to head into the battlefield. The opponent is the mature class alien. Follow your leaders because a single mistake can cause the formation to collapse. There are 600 soldiers and 18 summoners taking part in this expedition. I am expecting a lot from all of you. Without further ado." She turned around and started walking as she shouted onward. "Yua," the soldiers replied to them with a sharp yet short cheer. Nathan and Selena followed the group. The battlefield this time was a forest. The trees were tall, and the leaves covered most of the light, making the area humid and dark. The marching ended up being slower so as to avoid draining their stamina. Even though she looked like a muscle brain, Alavinia had actually taken everything into account, which would allow the soldiers to fight at their top state. Suddenly, the army leaders increased their paces, their path slightly curving to the side as if they were planning to avoid something. Nathan was confused at first, but soon found out what they were trying to do. If he looked up, he could see a tall tree. That was what could be seen since his vision was covered by leaves, but if he took another look at it, it wasn't a tree. It was a body, an enormous body that stretched for 10 meters, 32 feet, high. On top of the tree, they didn't find branches but tentacles. All of them were moving slowly as if they were scanning the area. Nathan couldn't help but furrow his eyebrows, wanting to notify Selena. However, the latter had noticed it as well and kept staring at the alien. Once she lowered her head, she turned to Nathan while pointing to the left. They both agreed and immediately moved toward their position, leaving the 5 people from the Retitia Academy behind. Obviously, their action didn't escape from Alavinia, or probably the alien as well. Before everyone could take their position, a loud, deep sound echoed across the forest as if they were just blowing their horns. However, all the people in this expedition knew that it was the sound of the alien. Dung. The loud, deep growl echoed across the forest as multiple screams and roars were responding to it. The peace inside the forest was suddenly destroyed as not only the aliens, but the soldiers were also panicking. Alavinia was taken aback. Isn't the detection of that alien only 50 meters, 164 feet? There's no time for that. We have to help the soldiers get into their position before the aliens swarm us from all directions. That's right. Go. Tristan, Levia. You two follow me to distract the mature class alien for 1 minute. Yes. They immediately split up to assist the soldiers. Mando couldn't help but turn around, worried that the kids weren't able to react in time, but surprisingly, only the people from the Retitia Academy remained. This was just a test from Alavinia for them. If they couldn't even know what they were supposed to do, she could use it as an excuse not to meet with them. That was why seeing only the people from the Retitia Academy still in their position made Mando angry. He shouted, "What are you doing? Go to your position." "Let's go." The platoon leaders all waved their hands, hurrying the soldiers. Because of the situation, their formation broke and the difficult terrains made a lot of soldiers trip. In addition, they could hear the noises coming toward them. KH. We are not in our position yet. One of the platoon leaders gritted his teeth as he saw a few shadows coming toward them. If these few aliens attacked them, there would be many people dying. As if they were able to predict it, both Selena and Nathan had come to their way, both of them summoning their familiars. Selena wouldn't be shocking, but this was the first time the soldiers saw two animals on the battlefield. Nathan turned around and shouted, "Hurry up and go to your position. We'll buy you some time." The leader snapped as he immediately shouted, "Go, go, go. We have to use the time the summoners make to get into our formation." The leaders were busy arranging their positions, while Nathan turned to the aliens and said, "We need to position ourselves slightly more forward than planned." Selena nodded, fully trusting Nathan's judgment. "There are 12 of them, from what I can see and hear. However, there are a lot more aliens coming behind them. We have to kill those 12 fast before the rest catch up," said Fenrir while assessing the situation. Both Nathan and Selena looked at each other as if knowing what they were thinking. 6-6. With a smile on their faces, they immediately charged forward. The soldiers couldn't help but clench their swords tighter. They had never thought that these two children had to confront the enemies so boldly because of their mistake. Their action had just made the soldiers' resolve stronger. On the left, Sasha went to the right while Risa went to the other side. The aliens didn't understand what they were planning to do, so they chased after the closer targets. Little did they know Selena was there waiting for them. She waved her staff, releasing a burst of Aina that swept the aliens from left to right. The three aliens that chased after Risa got knocked back, but they still managed to regain their stability. Sasha immediately kicked one of them toward the aliens facing Risa, resulting in a collision between them. Now that they fell, Risa summoned her tornado, shredding two aliens apart. The other two aliens blocked it with their bodies since most of the energy had been depleted. They stood back up and attacked Risa, only to find another blast from Selena, knocking them to the trees. On the other hand, the other two aliens punched and scratched Sasha's arms. Fortunately, her talon-like hands made the arm much sturdier. After blocking them, Sasha stabbed the alien's neck with her long talons as the contact area started to decay. She then threw this alien at the other one, which caused both of them to crash into each other. Sasha didn't have to kill them because the burst attack from Selena came right after, crushing them to the ground. She shot the explosive sphere toward their heads and destroyed it. On the other hand, Nathan's battle was actually much briefer than Selena's. Fenrir and Anubis simply charged forward, leaving Nathan behind. Fenrir pounced at the first alien. When he was about to bite its neck, the other two aliens attacked him. Due to the increase in Nathan's Aina and control over the last few days, he could form 10 bullets, 2.5 times of his original limit. He shot all of them into a single alien, causing the alien to have no choice but to block it. Knowing Nathan was there to help, Fenrir focused on the other alien and stopped it with a wave of his tail. Now that no one could stop him anymore, Fenrir bit the alien's neck before releasing the crescent-shaped attack from his tail, cutting the second alien. Nathan came to Fenrir's aid and struck the third alien with his deadly claw. Meanwhile, Anubis simply restrained two aliens with his bandage as he bit the last one. But because he was alone, Fenrir and Nathan actually came to him before he finished the first one. Fenrir broke the alien's neck with a slap and bit its neck off while Nathan used his deadly claw again. Still, their situation hadn't been over yet. There were still over 30 aliens coming toward them. Nathan hurriedly turned to Selena, who was about to finish her battle. "Selena. Let's regroup with the soldiers. We have to fight together to conserve our stamina." In Nathan's mind, he could use this chance to not only kill the aliens in front of them but also on the other side. With such an achievement, they had a higher chance of persuading Alavina. The only problem was the group from the Retitia Academy. Nathan searched for that group, who seemed to be rushing toward them as if they didn't want to lose. And it was at this moment that multiple attacks, from an arrow to a beam, rained down on this group. 2 people covered in cloaks suddenly jumped off the tree and killed 2 students with their swords. You what? Anubis, you motherfucker. Fenrir has stopped jinxing my plan, and now you. Don't you know my luck? Nathan and Selena couldn't believe how 2 students from the Reticia Academy had just died. Even Raza couldn't help but turn around and summon his familiars. However, there was another volley of attacks, forcing his familiars to block them one by one. Ha! Fenrir frowned as he noticed something. There is something wrong with those guys. Their presence is hard to sense, even for me. Nathan glanced at Fenrir and arrived at a certain conclusion. How many? 6 humans. Those 6 humans seemed to split up. As if realizing Raza was stronger than them forced the enemies to split into 2 groups. For the Reticia Academy, they were facing 2 people whom Fenrir believed to be the strongest ones. Meanwhile, the other 4 were coming straight at Nathan and Selena. Who are they? No, that's not important. Should we retreat? But if they are attacking the soldiers, it will create a hole for the aliens. The soldiers have to stop the aliens by themselves. Then, there's only one path for us. Nathan shouted, Selena. Follow me. Without hesitation, Nathan was charging toward the incoming aliens, moving away from the soldiers. Selena didn't know what was going on, but she still trusted Nathan's decision. They didn't know who these people were, but they had to flee as quickly as possible since their lives were in danger. Fenrir. Open up the path. Nathan shouted. Anubis immediately summoned his bandages and released them toward the incoming enemies. All of them summoned their familiars and blocked Anubis' attack. Noticing what Nathan wanted, Risa also sent forth her blood tornadoes to provide some firepower. Meanwhile, Fenrir hit the alien's head and threw its body toward another alien. They crashed and brought down another alien. To his surprise, there was a burst of Aina that hit him from the side. And only one person actually had this kind of attack. It was Selena. He didn't think Selena would hit him, but he soon saw her objective. The Aina launched his body in the opposite direction, allowing him to slap an alien in that direction and do the same thing again. This way, the hole he opened became much bigger. Yes, Selena knew Fenrir wouldn't get hurt by that kind of attack, so she just carried him to the opposite side. Now that there was a big gap between the aliens, they easily slipped past the aliens' rank. The mysterious people kept chasing after them, but Fenrir didn't kill any of those aliens. The moment they stood up, the first thing they saw were these 4 people, so it allowed Nathan and Selena a bit of breathing time. Nathan took this opportunity to think about the current situation. This is not good. Should we get some help? The soldiers are going to be attacked by the aliens soon. Are they going to inform the mercenary group? But won't it cause a lot more problems? Can they even spare some people in this situation? The soldiers on the other side might not be in their position yet. Come on, think, you idiot brain. What should we do in this situation? Should we stay here? Should we move away? Nathan squinted his eyes. There were 4 people. The ones coming for him had 2 familiars each, a kobold and an orc, and a cat person and a lamia. When he glanced at the other 2, who were still occupied with Raza and the remaining 2 students, Nathan got an idea. Selena. 30 steps back. That's where we'll fight them. I'll take the left. Nathan paused for a moment. This was probably the first time he would ask such a thing, but if he didn't do anything, the enemies might kill him. That was why Nathan gave an order. Don't kill them for information if possible. Kill if they're too troublesome. Selena's expression turned cold. The fact that these 4 people couldn't break through the aliens' rank that easily meant their strength was relatively weaker. However, they still had enough numbers to overwhelm them. Even though they had some experience fighting multiple summoners at a time, these people were much more decisive compared to the students they fought. Hence, handling 2 of them should be quite a tough task. Meanwhile, the soldiers obviously saw the summoners getting attacked, but they couldn't do anything. Go ask for reinforcements and tell them we're being attacked by mysterious people. The platoon leader sent forth 2 messengers to the mercenary group for reinforcement. Meanwhile, the aliens were approaching them at high speed. Get ready. The aliens leaped into the air and fell right on top of them. The soldiers blocked them with their shields, but some soldiers ended up falling either from the aliens' weight or their momentum. Gaha! One of them screamed as he was struggling to push the alien away. On the other side, a soldier was wailing in pain while shouting, "My arm is broken." However, there was a soldier unlucky enough to get overwhelmed by the alien. The latter immediately pushed its shield away before it bit a portion of its head. A lot of soldiers on the back moved forward to stop these aliens, but even if their swings succeeded, the damage was minuscule. The aliens almost crushed the human wall they made to block their access, but the alien didn't care as long as they could reach the mature class alien. Kill them! The platoon leader shouted. They had a lot of experience in fighting aliens, so the soldiers steadily stopped the aliens' advancement and turned into a real wall. They were waiting for the reinforcement. As long as they could help those 5 summoners from the mysterious people, they could continue with their plan. Unfortunately for them, the situation was too chaotic because of the mature class alien. What? An attack from a mysterious group? One of the people under Alavinia gasped. He shook his head. All of our summoners are currently helping the soldiers on the battlefield. It's impossible for us to send reinforcements. You need to deal with it for now. Despite sending the soldiers away, his face looked pale because he had heard how much the academies wanted her to join. And the target this time might be her. It's them. The 4 summoners exchanged looks, finally breaking through the aliens' rank. Seeing Selena and Nathan were quite far away from them, they thought these 2 were planning to escape, so they increased their pace. Suddenly, a wolf emerged from behind the tree and pounced on the orc and kobold. Anubis shot his bandage at Lamia and the cat person. The Lamia pulled its glaive, surprisingly pulling Anubis as well. The cat people, on the other hand, chose to come closer to Anubis. But before he could reach Anubis, Nathan's deadly claw appeared in its way, almost cutting him. If not for his fast reaction in blocking the deadly claw with his blade, his body would be severely injured. Hence, the cat person tried to remove the bandage so that he could change the target from Anubis to Nathan. During that time, Nathan had looped around and approached the summoner. You! The summoner hurriedly moved away, as if he were running from him. Unlike what he expected, the summoner couldn't seem to fight on his own, and had to rely solely on his beasts, unlike the students from the Phyrexia Academy. Then again, his academy was known to be the best, while he didn't know where these people came from. Nathan fired at the guy, but annoyingly, the enemy managed to avoid the bullet and hide behind a tree. He wanted to chase after him, but the cat person had just finished untying the bandage from his blade and headed to Nathan. Anubis wanted to throw the bandage again, but the cat person moved so fast that it reached Nathan first before Anubis' bandage arrived. Nathan looked down, following the blade's movement. He slightly tilted his body in the opposite direction. After that, Nathan grabbed the blade with his hands, taking advantage of the sturdiness of his coat as well as the glove to stop it. Unfortunately, the cat person was much stronger, resulting in Nathan getting blown away. Nathan bounced once before coming to a full stop on his belly. Good. Capture him. The summoner shouted, ordering the cat person. Stop. Anubis shouted while moving forward, but the glaive suddenly appeared in front of him, blocking his path. Severed Ultima. The Lamia shouted while waving her glaive, extending its attack. Anubis ended up leaping into the air as the glaive cut down several trees behind him. This way, no one could stop the cat person from catching Nathan, who was lying on his stomach. The cat person wanted to catch him, but all of a sudden, Nathan brushed his coat with his left hand, revealing the right hand that sneaked in between his body and his left hand. That right hand had already made a pistol sign as the bullet immediately formed. The cat person wanted to get away, but it was too late. The bullet pierced through his chest. It barely missed his heart, but it didn't change that the injury was quite severe. Nathan hurriedly turned around and kicked the cat person's stomach. Meow. The cat person roared and grabbed Nathan's leg before throwing him away. Tisk. Nathan clicked his tongue when his plan didn't work. He covered his entire body with Aina, as his body bounced once before coming to a stop. He stood up without an injury because of Anubis. However, this distance was what Nathan needed. He immediately faced Fenrir's opponent and formed the same bullet, ready to help Fenrir from an unexpected angle. The summoner was surprised and hurriedly shouted, "Stop him." The cat person moved as quickly as possible in his current state, but to their surprise, Nathan had once again hidden one of his hands. When the cat person focused on the one making a gun sign, Nathan actually shot a bullet from his other hand toward the summoner. The summoner panicked and tried to avoid it, but Nathan had expected it. In fact, he never intended to kill that summoner in a single shot. The target was actually his foot. "Ack!" the summoner screamed as it fell down. The cat person focused on Nathan because he had to stop Nathan from firing another shot. Unfortunately for him, Nathan had never intended to shoot another one. The moment the cat person was about to reach Nathan, the latter changed from the bullet to deadly claw. The cat person raised his sword, albeit it was too late. He could only tilt its body sideways, but the ear was one step too late, and got sliced by the deadly claw. The cat person gritted his teeth, but he wasn't in a position to do anything. In fact, Nathan took this opportunity to punch the hole that his bullet hit earlier. Meow. The cat person screamed in pain because of the stabbing pain that amplified the original pain he had to endure. He couldn't stop Nathan blowing his body with a punch. Meanwhile, the Lamia was panicking. On the one hand, she was able to stop Anubis to a certain extent, but the other two were being toyed with by Nathan. Seeing the gap in her defense, Anubis swiftly slapped the Lamia on the wrist and threw it to a tree. KH. The Lamia bit her lips, enduring the pain as the attack almost broke her ribs. She gathered her Aina on her glaive and swung it down. The blade's strike ran through the ground, forcing Anubis to stop it with his paw. Even then, the blade's strike was powerful enough to push him back. Unfortunately for the Lamia, Anubis had never intended to come closer. He just wanted to make the Lamia release that kind of attack so that it couldn't harm Nathan. His true goal was to send forth the bandages to the summoner, who had a hard time moving. "Summoner," the Lamia shouted, warning him, but it was too late. The moment the summoner turned around, the bandages wrapped around his neck. GH. The summoner was struggling to break free, but that was when Nathan reached him, pointing his hand at the summoner's head. "Don't move and recall them. If you don't abide, I'll shoot your head. Stop or I'll shoot your head." The summoner froze. His familiars couldn't really rescue him. If their summoner died, they would also disappear after all. The summoner breathed heavily, fully aware that there was no other choice. The Lamia and the cat person soon disappeared, showing the sign of surrender. Nathan said, "Anubis. Kill him if he does something suspicious." Anubis nodded as Nathan went to help Fenrir. Surprisingly, Fenrir was in a much better position than he thought, despite fighting by himself. The kobold was already dead with its head getting ripped apart from its body. The orc and the summoner were surprised by Nathan's appearance. The orc waved its greatsword at Fenrir as the latter stopped it with his paw, and used the momentum to send him flying. In the air, Fenrir waved his tail, shooting out a crescent-shaped wave. The orc's eyes flashed as he struck the attack with his greatsword and snapped it in two. Meanwhile, Nathan chased after the summoner, who couldn't fight as well. The orc wanted to help the summoner, but Fenrir slapped the back of his head, knocking it down. Nathan summoned 5 weak bullets and shot them at the summoner. The summoner threw himself to the side, but 3 of them still hit his body due to Nathan spreading his aim. Gah! The summoner fell down and wailed on the ground. The orc was struggling to get up because Fenrir had been pinning his body to the ground. Nathan pointed his hand at the summoner. Recall your familiars or you're dead. The summoner gritted his teeth. While enduring the pain, he recalled his familiars because he didn't want to die. Anubis! Nathan shouted. Anubis came while dragging the other summoner with his bandage. He captured both of them as Fenrir and Nathan nodded in agreement. Take care of them, they said at the same time as they moved toward Selena. Surprisingly, Selena had actually defeated one of the summoners. No, it was more precise to say she had killed him. His head was crushed with a blunt force, causing his eyes to pop off from its socket. Meanwhile, the other guy was defending to the best of his ability, but steadily losing his ground. He had a dog people and an imp as his familiar. The imp and Sasha struck each other with their claws. The collision produced a loud clicking sound. Meanwhile, Sasha released her blood tornadoes and surrounded the dog people from two sides. Even though his familiars were weaker than the two summoners Nathan fought, this summoner could actually fight. Selena sent out a burst of Aina at him, but the latter skillfully blocked it. He was still overwhelmed and getting pushed back, but he maintained his balance. Unfortunately for him, Nathan shot him from a distance, when he was too focused on Selena's attack. The guy suddenly felt an excruciating pain in his stomach as he couldn't help but lower his vision, finding blood dyeing his clothes. The imp realized it too late, while the dog people hurriedly warned him. Watch out! Something fast looping around us. The summoner wanted to turn around, but Selena attacked him from above, pinning him to the ground. Nathan shot his legs so that he couldn't get away. And Fenrir suddenly came from behind, placing his paw around the summoner's neck. And now, do you know how screwed you are? The summoner trembled. This wolf could kill him at any second. There was nothing he could do but surrender, thus allowing Nathan and Selena to capture 3 out of the summoners. Of course, Anubis used his bandages to tie them up. They were quickly lined up for a quick questioning. Are you sure we have time for this? Fenrir asked. It should be fine. Those people from the Reticia Academy are still fighting, so we should have time. Are you holding a grudge against them? Normally, you would have gone to help. Fenrir frowned. Nope. If we get some information, like their identities, and say it in front of their face, don't you think it'll create some gaps in their defense? I'm just trying to make it easier for us to fight them, especially since they're strong enough to take on the second-year student from the Reticia Academy. Even though their rank is lower, a second-year student is still a second-year student. Fair enough. Fenrir nodded in understanding. Who are you? If you don't want to die, you better answer the question. Selena asked in a cold tone. She was ready to kill them if they didn't give any answer. They were in no position to take prisoners because the soldiers were still fighting against the aliens. Do you think you have won? One of them shouted. You don't have to listen to them. I doubt they know anything. Fenrir moved closer, showing blood covering his teeth, and lips as if he wanted to bite them to death. Selena said, Who ordered you? The other one smirked and shouted, Do you think you are good just because you are from the Phyrexia Academy? That academy can only reach the top because they're taking all the top students and throwing away the rest. Meanwhile, other academies have to settle with less talented people. Anubis squinted his eyes. He has a point though. Since only the best entered and the rest were chased away, it was obvious why the Phyrexia Academy turned into the best academy. However, Selena didn't seem to think the same way. Fenrir was ready to kill these guys, but Nathan stopped him from behind while whispering, Wait. Let her cook. As he said those words, Selena said, The Phyrexia Academy has been improving continuously in the past few hundred years. The reason for them to be the best is because they only get the best students. You are wrong. When the Phyrexia Academy didn't have a teacher, they used their resources to bring in the best teacher, which would help the students. When they didn't have money, they pulled in investors. They kept upgrading their facilities and benefits for both teachers and students until everyone thought how good the Phyrexia Academy was. With such a large number of students, it's only right for the academy to be more selective. It seems that you are from one of those lesser academies. In that case, what has your academy done? Have you tried seeking a teacher that gives students the best guidance? Have you found an investor to get enough money to improve your facilities and benefits? The Phyrexia Academy has done their best, while you are a pathetic loser who can only complain without trying to solve it, using excuses after excuses to blame others' successes.